The first story, just quickly on the topic of Workday everywhere and what Alison said is, I was speaking to someone outside who briefly mentioned to me that they were looking at Workday expenses. And I said, why? They said, I simply don't have time to do my expenses. Which is shocking, right? The productivity crunch is so real that we don't have time to do the quickest, highest ROI activity to get money back in our pocket, which is expenses. Unbelievable. The next one is I had someone from my team come up to me and actually tell me something that I didn't realize before. It was a bit of a running joke at the company, that I am the world's fastest manager to approve leave. And I thought that was quite hilarious, right? Because as an Australian, we love holidays. But I was sort of thinking why that is, right? And it's because I always have Slack open on my right screen. The moment a notice pops up from Workday in Slack, there's leave. I don't even think about it. I just click the button, approve, approve, approve. And I can do that because I don't need to access a system. I don't need to dedicate and carve out 10 minutes of mental real estate to go and approve leave. It's already scheduled through Workday. Everything's blocked and organized. They hit leave. I click a button and I move on with my day-to-day. So if we can reduce our time-poor experience with these simple, scalable means, to me that's huge and it's an easy quality of life booster. So much goodness. Thank you, Alison. Now I have the privilege of welcoming April 1 up to the stage with me for a fireside chat. Now, as April comes up to the stage, if I said the words Viper, Naga, Death Adder, would anyone else know what I'm talking about? Raise your hand if you know. Yes, we have a few. And if you don't know, you're probably about to find out what they are.
Thank you, Tom. Yep, and if anyone is wondering, those are names of snakes. And why do we have snakes? Because snakes eat mouse. And that's what Razer stands for.
Exactly right. So for those who aren't avid gamers like me, I have my Razer LED mouse pad. I've got my Death Ad. I've got the full setup. Maybe share with the crowd a little bit about who are Razer and what's your business.
Right. So if you're into gaming, you definitely will know Razer. We are actually the world-leading lifestyle gaming company, right? So what it means is that we actually serve 3.2 billion of gamers, and that number is still growing. In fact, we are saying that our customers are still growing up because generally everyone is into already gaming right from a very young stage. From a Razer standpoint, it also means that we have actually 1,500 strong employee base that actually support our gaming community across 19 offices in 13 countries. So that's who Razer is today.
Huge. Thank you for getting me through the pandemic and my gaming setup.
Most welcome.
So maybe as we go a little bit more into the Workday transformation piece, maybe help me understand a little bit more about how important is digital transformation for your business and industry?
Right. So for us, we are actually in the gaming industry, right? And gaming industry is very interesting because it actually pushes technology to actually exceed the boundaries that we actually have. If you think about gaming, it is into hardware, right? The computers that we actually use. It is into software, the program that we actually write to play games. It's about connectivity. It is also about the user experience. And more importantly, how do we actually use gaming to actually monetize some of these things that we are actually pushing out? So digital transformation for us is really pushing it even further. How do we actually adapt our processes, our programs, our practices to make sure that we continue to stay forefront in an industry that is already leading the pack in some of these things? Right, I think for us, with the years that we are actually growing, we realize that, hey, digital transformation is something that we need to take on continuously, especially when the company continues to grow.
That evolution is so important, right? Especially for your industry and domain. So maybe as you started to go on the journey of digital transformation, and more specifically with Workday, of course, what were some of the pain points that you experienced before that transformation, or that sort of instigated that HCM transformation?
Right. So I think over the last few years, Razer have grown significantly, right? Whether is it organically or through mergers and acquisition. In fact, one of the acquisitions that we did in 2017, which we acquired the fintech business to form our services business unit, that actually doubled our employee size as well. With that, we also see the growing pains, right, that result in the growth. Because everybody who's actually joining the company have their own mindset in terms of what the culture should be, how the company should be run. Right? As we grow, with all the mergers and acquisitions, we realized that there are actually duplicated processes. HR processes cannot support what the business, which is so different now, right? To make things worse, because we are actually growing in different locations, our employee information is all scattered. We can't actually have a single source of repository to make accurate information. And from a business standpoint, more importantly, it actually affects us from a compliance standpoint as we deal with important people data. So I think that actually triggered us to say that, look, we need to do something about that. How do we address some of these challenges that's coming with us?
Yeah, definitely. Especially for organizations we're seeing across region who are trying to scale, compliance is so critical. Now, the next question is absolutely a loaded question. But I've come from previous HR and software vendors, so I think I've got a point of view myself. But I'd be very curious on your rationale and Razer's thought processes to, why Workday is your partner for this transformation.
I think in the first place, I think it all boils down to where Razer wants to go, right? From a company standpoint, from a HR standpoint, we actually pride ourselves, our mission is for gamers by gamers. So inside the organization, we need to actually grow and develop a team of passionate employees that can actually serve our entire ecosystem of the hardware, software, and services business. So again, what we pride ourselves and in terms of what we are looking for in terms of our partners that we have. Number one, we are looking for people who are innovative, partners who are innovative, partners who are going to be adaptable in terms of the ongoing changes that's happening in the industry. We also want someone who can work with us for scalability, for growth, right? How do we make sure that as we continue to go through the VUCA world that we call it, to say that, hey, we are actually able to actually make changes. If we have another merger and acquisition, I'm going to go through the same exercise. It should be able to help me scale very comfortably as I continue to grow. Last but not least, I think with all that in mind, we want to make sure that our technology partners put us in a position that's going to give us that competitive advantage, right? When I say competitive advantage, meaning to say that I've got my streamlined resources, I've got tackle all my challenges inside there, I can actually differentiate myself from an employer brand. And when I differentiate myself from an employer brand, I've got talents who are actually coming in, differentiating the company as we continue to serve the gaming community. So I think to answer your question, sorry, that's a long one. To answer your question, I think Workday actually tick all those boxes for us. So I think Workday, from an innovation standpoint, you've continued to impress us to say that, hey, we are constantly looking for what is the next thing that's going to impact. I totally enjoyed Alison's presentation just now, in terms of looking forward, what we need to do as we continue to innovate in that sense. And I think more importantly as well, Workday actually is someone that is agile, who's very forward-looking, and the price user experience as a whole. And that's aligned with Razer's values. At the end of the day, we are in a people business, right? We are people serving people. So generally, from a user standpoint, that's going to be key for us. And that's why when we look at the different vendors, Workday was really a preferred partner.
Well, I love the answer. It's really, I think it pays a great homage to what we're all facing, which is all about how can we be more agile, right? And I think there's also, there's two sides as well, right? Because when you pick a software vendor, it's also got to be that partnership. So it's great working with Razer because we've got that agility, we've got that mindset to be agile and be evolving. And I think that's really where you get to see the power of the two parties coming together. You know what I mean? That's fantastic. So I guess you've probably answered the next question quite well as well, right? Which is understanding a bit more around, how can Workday help you be more agile and change ready? I guess an experience I had is in another life. I remember we had an M&A for a company I was working at, right? And we had to change some business processes. And for one of the modules, it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, right? And I'm having to configure this process change. And I discovered that I had to download an XML file. And so this is like, we're under time. I can see people laughing, right? Because you've probably gone through it. I had to download an XML file to change a business process. Then I had to re-upload it. And at some point, I was like, there's no way. I'm never going to get this done. Then I came to Workday doing my onboarding some time ago. And when I got to the chapter of the business process framework, where it was one screen, one place with flowcharts, I had this moment. I was like, what have I been doing with my life? It's so much easier. So that agility is critical, right? And it helps our businesses so much. So Maybe on the topic of to wrap things up, AI and machine learning playing a critical role in the future of HR solutions. I'd love to hear your perspective, your take on how AI and ML can help big businesses, and some of those including Razer.
Right. So I think for us being in the technology industry, we are actually very embracing when there's new technology coming forward. So we have already ventured into blockchain, we have already ventured into IoT, and of course recently what has come forward is the AI side of things. So for us as an organization, I think given the nature, right, of Razer as a company whereby we want to, the gaming mentality, right, we want to continue to make sure that we stay in the forefront, we actually outdo ourselves. So AI for us at this is really going through the different stages. So when AI was first introduced, right, we actually as an organization-wide, and I'm not just relating to HR, we very quickly went into the exploration stage to say that what AI can do, right? Of course, there were noises to say that, well, AI take over our job and all that. But the truth of the matter is AI may not take over your job, but the person who knows how to use AI will definitely take over your job. So how do we actually look at what AI can bring to us, right? So we now start to understand it. We are actually at the stage of adapting AI to see how we can actually run some of our business processes across the different business units. And hopefully we reach the stage whereby we are going to be much more productive in terms of using AI. Now, if I bring it back to HR, right? From an AI side of things, as an HR person, my utmost consideration is really on privacy, on compliance, data security, right? When we talk about some of the things that we actually do on blockchain, for example, some of the things that we actually upload on ChatGPT. So those are the things that I would be very concerned about. So that's one area that we continue to make sure that as we guide our employees to embrace AI, what are some of the pointers that we need to actually guide them on? Increasingly, we are also using AI for talent acquisition to basically help suss out in terms of what are some of the skill sets, what some of the attributes that we are looking at. But again, we would also caution to say that we are probably at the stage of adapting it. I think there's no right answer to say that AI can do a better job of it. It's at the end of the day, it's how you actually utilize it.
You said a really interesting point there, right? Which is AI not replacing jobs, but those who can master and own AI, the increase in value they have for a business is huge. There's a great framework that many people probably know about already, which is the INSEAD model of build, buy, borrow. And now we're sort of seeing that fourth dimension come through, which is build, buy, borrow, and bot. We're so time constrained. How can AI help us accelerate our day-to-day, cut faster through the bureaucracy, get insights quicker, and accelerate our business performance? April, thank you so much. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. So it's really exciting to see, right? The different journeys organizations change, the problems they're solving, but also the continuum and consistency of some of those pain points that show the criticality of digital transformation, right? We all start somewhere, but the benefits at a time now where there's such a focus on operational efficiency and mitigating operational inefficiencies that there's so much to glean from a transformation in this space.